Customizing your UI can seem a little daunting to newer Ren'py devs, but it's honestly very simple. Ren'py's done an amazing job consolidating and curating everything that you need to adjust your UI in pretty much just two places: the GUI images folder, and then the two RPY files, GUI and options.rpy. Let's start with the images in the GUI folder. This might seem like a lot of images you need to change, but it's much simpler than you think it is. For starters, let's customize Windows icon. This is the game icon that shows up on your Windows, desktop, and on the top left corner of your game window. To customize your icon, just open the image up in an image editor of your choice, delete the image inside, and insert your own image. Don't change the pixel dimensions, and don't change the file name. Once that's done, launch your game, and you can see it's already been changed in Engine. Now these are the images you should definitely customize in your game. Main menu. This is the main menu image. Just make it look nice. Overlay/main menu. This is the frame that appears over the left side of your main menu screen. I usually turn this thing off by just turning it into a transparent image. Game menu. This is the overlay that appears over your main menu image when you're going through menu screens. This is a partially transparent image by default, but feel free to make it opaque if you want the menu screens to have a little bit more of a distinct look. NVL, text box, and name box. These are the images that appear behind your game text to separate it from your game assets. Name box goes behind the character name, text box behind the dialogue, and NVL goes behind text that is displayed in the full screen NVL mode. Notify and skip. These are the images that appear behind notification elements and the Ren'py skip feature. Just make them a pretty color. Frame and overlay/confirm. These are the confirm text box and the overlay that goes behind it over the game background when you exit the game. The rest of the important GUI elements are the buttons, scroll bars, and sliders. Honestly, these buttons usually work fine for me by default, but if you have a very particular aesthetic in mind or want to flex your UI design skills, it's relatively easy to make Ren'py bend to your will. In the button folder, we can see the variety of buttons that Ren'py uses by default. We have choice buttons, used for choice options in game, the background button, which is pretty much every button that Ren'py pairs with text, quick background, which are the buttons for the quick menu at the bottom of the game screen, and the slot buttons, which are used for the saving loading screens. Each of these buttons has an idle state, which is how it typically looks, and the hover state, which is how it looks when your mouse hovers over it. This idle hover format is also used in the slider and scroll bar folders. Sliders are assembled like this for horizontal and vertical formats, and the scroll bars are assembled like this, with vertical and horizontal formats, each with their own idle and hover states. Back in the button folder, the radio and check buttons operate slightly differently. They just have selected and foreground states, which just designate when they're active or not. Now there are two GUI folders left to cover. Phone is just a copy of the assets from the rest of the GUI folder, but with dimensions more suited to mobile devices. Let's not worry about the bars folder. We'll deal with that in the next video in this series. I'll get to it. For now, let's go to the RPY files. Options and GUI both have tons of different things you can adjust and customize, and all of them are very clearly labeled and defined right in the code. For pretty much every game though, you'll just want to adjust all the basics in options.rpy. It lets you set the name of your game in the main menu, and you're gonna just want to use the option to turn it off. It also lets you define the version of the game, which is very useful when you're testing. And importantly, it also lets you define what text goes in the about screen in your game right here. Finally, you can make a short name for your game used for executables and directories. It says to make it short, but still make it descriptive. Both the options and GUI files contain more variables you can use to tightly define and customize your game. And again, if you have a really particular aesthetic you're going for, or just want to use that Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, you'll want to get well acquainted with all of them. Most games, though, will really only have to worry about these variables. Fonts and font sizes. Change the fonts for in-game text, character names, and out-of-game text to something more custom. I highly suggest making a separate font folder and making these directories reference that folder, like this. Custom fonts go a long way to giving your game a unique aesthetic. Text box. Change the height of the text box. Some games you want to make your dialog box fill up more space, but sometimes you can get away with making it a bit thinner. This variable just establishes how high the text appears, not how big the actual text box is. So be sure to change and adjust your text box image separately. Again, there are tons of little adjustments you can make to your UI, and I'm sure you're itching to mess with all of them, but keep in mind how little changes on one screen can affect other uses of it elsewhere in your game. For instance, let's say you wanted to move the main menu navigators from the left side of the screen to the right side. You could change this variable, GUI.navigation_exposition, to a higher number so it's on the right side of the screen, which looks fine until you open up the preferences screen. Look, now the buttons overlap. So how do we solve this? Well, if you're really in a hurry to make a Ren'py game, you just don't want to have to focus on learning, just don't worry about it. Just design around it. You can make a visual novel right now with everything that I've taught you. But if you want to learn like some of the tough stuff, like the stuff that got me on the Ren'py homepage right there, look, it's my game. You're going to want to click on this video right over here, which is going to teach you how